in the chat while I'm busy flopping multiple balls just trying to get back into the shop. It's also been great to see an entire community of Pokemon Pinball streamers pop up like Gord, Awesh, and HdGaming, a guy who's aiming to break the world record for the highest score on the Sapphire board, 133 billion.
To start this video off, we need to head back to the first time I saw this game. When I saw this game for the first time, it really caught my eye. I wasn't even that big of a Pokemon fan, but there was something about this game that just triggered something in me to play it. Maybe it was the designs of a Pokemon, maybe it was the fact it was a pinball game. It could also be because it had more stuff in the game that made it more than just pinball, like how you can catch Pokemon, evolve Pokemon, go to certain bonus levels, and so much more. It just seemed like a very good game all around. Whoever made this game had to be a genius, because you don't really see this game like any other pinball games that are around. They pretty much smushed everything that you would want in a pinball game with Pokemon in it, and created one of the best pinball games of all time. At least in my opinion, of course. But that still doesn't answer where I actually found the game. Did I find it off of a friend? Did I find it off of a family member? Nope. I found it on TikTok. Early 2024, I was just scrolling through my feed and I just found some random guy playing the game. I don't remember his name, but I knew that he looked like he was really good at the game at the time. I got very interested in watching him play it, but after that one stream, I never saw his gameplay again. Until I found the game again around November of 2024.
Now we aren't strangers, are we?
I saw a random clip from the same guy which made me remember where I saw him from. Again, the game caught my attention and I was like, you know what? I should try and play the game on stream. So I had to find a way to play it on my PC so I was able to stream it. So I found an emulator that I could play on to share my screen with. On December 23rd, 2024, I did my first stream on Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire. It went alright. I played it for a couple of hours and there were a few people watching me, but they didn't watch for too long because I sucked at the game at the time. Of course, I was new, so I wasn't really that skilled for my first stream. I streamed it for a few more days and got the same results, but on the 5th day, that's when my stream started to get noticed. That 5th day had to be one of my most important streams that I had because I finally reached the milestone of hitting my first 100 viewers watching at the same time. I was trying my best not to freak out because that never happened before. I was super shocked. I just kept playing the game like I normally do and talked to all of them, trying to find something to talk about and just trying to keep my cool, of course, because I mean, that's a big milestone. After that motivated me a lot more to grow as a content creator. Another reason why this is such a big milestone is because before Pokemon Pinball, I only averaged around 12 people per stream. Sometimes not even that. So seeing everyone joining in to hang out and talk always made my day. It is now January and I was still doing the same run over and over again, just playing the game and learning new things. At this point, I probably have half of a Pokédex done, since I mostly played on the Sapphire board. I felt like it was kind of getting boring just playing the same board over and over, so I had an idea of trying for a goal. And that one goal is trying to get the world record for the highest points in Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire. But before I could just start going for the world record, I would have to find the right website that has a leaderboard for the highest points in the game. I tried to look at Guinness World Records and they had the score for the highest points in the Sapphire board, but the record was kinda outdated. The whole record holder only had 300 million points, and that was last updated in 2006, which probably means that nobody will update it anymore. I kept looking for other websites and I found Retro Achievements, which they keep track of achievements, scores, and more. They also had their own leaderboards for Pokemon Pinball that has 4,000 entries, so this was a really good place to start. I did see that there was another website that kept scores too called Cyberscore, but the way they verified scores wasn't really that good. That could be verified much better. For example, people could put forum submissions on there and post their scores without it being verified, which kind of gives away the whole verification thing, you know? They also could just post a picture for proof, but that wouldn't work either because modders can just change the score in the game if they wanted to. I know that this is possible because there was someone who did that on Retro Achievements before, but the Retro Achievements moderators took the score down after it was submitted. I even tried looking at speedrun.com because they have their own leaderboards as well, but it was only for timed submissions on beating Rayquaza or completing the Pokédex, which we are not going for. But with all the websites I looked for, it seemed like Retro Achievements had the most up-to-date leaderboards and had the best verification method compared to other websites. I created my account and I got to grinding. I let everyone know in my streams that I was going for this record, and y'all seemed pretty excited for me to try and get it. And of course, your support helps me a lot. Before I explain how my pinball runs go when I'm trying to get the most points in the game, I have to talk more about the community that I had before and during the runs. Since I started to grow more and more from streaming, I started to create a community that I could talk to every single day, and it is one of the best feelings ever. To start off, we need to talk about one of my biggest and first supporters of the TikTok live streams, Kelv. He always joined in the streams and hung out with all the viewers, but he definitely stands out in the group. I created a Discord server at the time called HdGaming's community server, which is a big hangout place for viewers to talk, make friends, create funny memes, and more. And Kelv was a viewer that helped me set up that stuff on the server. He also seemed like the person to keep the chat alive, and everyone loves to see him when he joins in, which is why I agreed to make him my first ever moderator for my streams. Speaking of the memes that I had on the server, that is also another thing that I have been piling up on my stream, which I like to call the HD memes. The first meme started with one of my college friends joining my stream. His name was Zed, who was pretty much the jokester in the chat and said HD has a tail. I want to clarify to y'all that I do not have a tail. He was just teasing me, of course, but I had an audience that thought it was really funny and decided to carry it on every single stream. Every single one. I wanted to talk about this meme because this was pretty much the build-up of how my streams grow. People loved the meme and I thought it was funny too, so we kept going with the bit. So for the people that are new to my streams or the channel ask me why everyone is saying I have a tail, this is why. And of course, throughout the days, weeks, and months I've been streaming, more and more memes kept getting created. I won't explain too much of them since there is a lot of them, but I'll tell you the order of most of my popular memes. Number 1, the tail meme. Number 2, the spiel meme, which was created because of my very valid hatred, by the way, towards the spiel game in Pokemon Pinball. Number 3, the pregnant meme. I don't even know how it even popped up, but it was created, and was probably considered the most random HD meme of all time. Also, a viewer drew me as a picture inspired by the meme, which I will not unblur the image, and even worse, posted it on TikTok. Thanks, I guess. Next is the Dr. Pepper and Taco Bell memes, where people talk about my obsession with Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper, because I glaze both of them most of the time. Also, this video is not sponsored by them, by the way. Number 5 is the birthday meme, where everyone tells me happy birthday every single day. I consider it my most popular meme by the time I post this video. The basement meme is the last one on this list, which is when viewers tell me that I trapped them in my basement. Again, a very random HD meme that just popped up out of nowhere, but is very used mostly by moderators. So yeah, those are the big memes that people talk about in my chat. You can clearly tell they are kind of freaky, but I could have asked for a better chat because they are the ones who pushed me to complete the pinball runs. Now that you know how my chat is, we can continue talking about my actual journey on the Pokemon pinball runs. Alright, back to where we were. It was still early January, and now I started to do our runs to see which board I can be more comfortable with. The way I did it was I went from one board, for example, and I'll start with the Sapphire board, and I would play until I lose and move to the ruby board. And of course, it works the other way around. Depending on which board I had, there would have to be a different score I have to beat. On retro achievements, there are 2 different leaderboards. One of them was for the highest score on the Sapphire board, and the other was for the highest score on the ruby board. On the ruby board, the highest score was 155 billion points, and on the Sapphire board, it was 133 billion points. If you don't know how much that is, let me break it down for you. Completing the Dust Goal minigame gives you 30 million points. Every hit on a Dust Goal in a Dust Goal minigame also gives you 100,000 points. There are 20 Dust Goals on the board, and each hit on the Dusclops that spawns gives you 300,000 points. You can only hit Dusclops a max of 5 times, so add all the hits together and it'll give you 3.5 million points. But if you have the Master Ball, which gives you a 4-time multiplier in points, it actually gives you 14 million points. Then you have to add the Master Ball to the points when you beat the Dust Goal minigame, so the points you get all together with the Master Ball will equal 134 million points. If you divide 133 billion by 134 million, you would have to do the Dust Goal game, get ready for it, 993 times if you're not counting the points you get from the other mini games. That is a lot of Dust Goal games. And if you still don't think that's a lot, let's count how many Rayquaza games it takes to do this. Beating Rayquaza gives you 100 million points, and if you add the Master Ball to it, you would get 400 million points. And catching Rayquaza with it would also give you 100 mil, so that would be around 500 million points. And you also got to take the account of each hit on the Rayquaza, giving you close to about an extra 100 million points with the Master Ball when the game is completed. So that's 600 million points. If you capture Rayquaza and had a Master Ball on every single minigame until you get to Rayquaza, I will not count the extra points you would get when hitting the bosses or hitting targets outside of a bonus game, you would have a total of 1.82 billion points. 133 billion by 1.82 billion points, that would be close to 74 Rayquaza catches. If you are still confused and don't think it's that much, it takes me 47 minutes on average just to catch Rayquaza. So if you multiply my average time by 74, that equals to 3,478 minutes, which also equals to 58 hours of non-stop gameplay. Yes, non-stop gameplay. Thank goodness that you can pause and save the game, because if you couldn't, you would easily be exhausted. What's even crazier is that both of these scores were achieved from the same exact person named K-Mick. He also catched and evolved 999 Pokemon, which is the max score you can get until the game breaks. That is super impressive how he did it, and I want to shout him out for doing that because that takes a lot of time to do. So back to my runs. I kept playing and switching over and over again, but I kept ending up with only 9 billion and I would lose my lives pretty fast. So I had to make a tactic for this. What if I tried to not focus on the score earlier in the run and instead work on increasing how many lives I have? If you don't understand the game, you start off with 2 lives, 3 if you're counting your current ball, and every time the ball drops in the middle without the ball saver, you will lose 1 of your lives. So I decided it's best to use the start slot in the market to get extra lives. The more lives that you have in your run, the longer you will survive in the game. I tried it out and it worked pretty well. I mean, I felt like I was surviving longer and I started to get more accurate with my shots, because the longer you play the game, the better timing you're going to get, just like every other game you play. Though I just kept getting more and more and more lives until suddenly I focused so hard on extra lives, I actually reached the max lives you can get in the game, which was 9. Again, if you are including the ball you have, it's actually 10. At this point, the best thing to do now was to increase my score on the Sapphire board. I would have to focus on upgrading the ball first, because upgrading the ball gives you points much faster than you would on a regular Pokeball. I already explained that the Master Ball gives a 4-time multiplier, but there are other balls that give you a multiplier too. The regular ball gives no multiplier at all. The Great Ball is a 2-time multiplier, Ultra Ball is a 3-time multiplier, and you have your Master Ball, of course. Another thing I had to focus on was keeping my ball alive as long as possible, and increasing the bonus multiplier, which gives you a multiplier for your points you earned after losing a ball. The longer you survive with a ball, the more points you are going to get after losing a life. In other words, your balls hold value. And you might think it's easy just to go through this and take my time on it, but you also gotta remember that I am streaming the game as well. So I gotta talk to my viewers and engage with them too. I can't just close the chat and play in dead silence, that's kinda awkward. So I had to chat the whole entire time, play the game, and focus on not trying to lose any lives. Of course, I made the choice to do that because it is well worth it. And interesting enough, a lot of crazy stuff happened while I was streaming the game. Some stuff I missed and some that I was surprised about. Starting off with having a different streamer, and my first streamer who joined in the chat, named G Medley. I didn't know much about him at first, but he did talk in my chat for a little bit and he seemed really chill. He told me that he also played and streamed this game too and offered me to come check his streams out anytime, which I was pretty excited about. I went to his profile after the stream and it turns out this guy was actually a really big deal. He has over 200,000 followers on TikTok and mostly makes Pokemon content. Specifically Pokemon Go because he said that he was well known for it. But he did start to post clips of Pokemon Pinball at the time. Some clips showed him catching Rayquaza for the first time, completing the Pokédex, and even tips on how to get better at the game. And of course, at the time I joined his streams, he was still playing Pokemon Pinball, which was awesome to watch. He was trying to speedrun the Pokédex at the time. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about G Medley was because he is important later on in the video, which I will talk about again here in a second. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the fact I completely missed out on the Detroit Lions following me when they first joined in on my streams. And I was completely zoned out at the time. I think I even read their name, but I had no clue it was a real account because I was having to be a bonus game in Pokemon Pinball. A couple days later, they showed up and they said, "What's up?" And my chat started to freak out, which caught my attention and saw it was the real account. They said they followed me a couple days ago, but I didn't see them. So that got me apologizing to them while I was still in shock that they joined in. But yeah, it turns out that the social media team were actually really big fans of Pokemon, which I did not know. So shout out to the Detroit Lions, y'all are awesome. But the reason why I wanted to tell y'all this was to show an example of how hard it is to keep up with chat while playing Pokemon Pinball, because it is really hard to focus on one thing and another. It was so cool to go through these runs knowing that there were more people that streamed this game than I thought, like G Medley, who we first talked about, Wesh, Gord, Bandy, who is one of G Medley's mods, Fatal Core, BB Chillin', QTB, Vegeta, Moritz Frogs, and many more at the time. And you're probably still thinking, why is all of this so important? And what does G Medley have to do with your story? Well, because he knows a lot about Pokemon Pinball that I didn't even know, because he posted probably one, if not the best breakdown videos of Pokemon Pinball of all time. In the video, he talks about how the mechanics of the game work, including the secret Johto starters that is built in the game, and how to achieve them, and much more. He even found a group of people who were trying to break down the code to figure out how the spawn mechanics work and how the secret Johto starters work. At the end of the video, he shouted me out how I was going for the world record, and I want to thank him as well for the shout out, and I appreciate it, and your videos helped me learn about the game a lot better. I'll even put the video link in my bio for other people to check out. Phew. Alright, I'm done yapping about all of that. Let's move on to the actual story. So I started to realize that I am doing a lot better on the Sapphire board than I am on the Ruby board. So my goal now was to get 133 billion points to pass the highest score. And you can see now that my score kept getting higher and higher and higher. My lives kept going down and up, down and up, down and up. And after 4 to 5 weeks of playing the game, I finally got to stream 17 of a Sapphire board run. And I got up to 132 billion points. This was such a big stream because we had over 500 people watching at the moment, so I was super nervous. I beat a Rayquaza minigame and got to 133 billion points, and all I needed was one more Duskull game to get the record. And just a couple minutes later, it happened. Bro. After the record-breaking stream we had, I kept playing the game and got up to 160 billion points. With this, we surpassed the previous record by 27 billion points. But I did have a problem. I went to Retro Achievements and I realized something. Where was the video submissions? I did some more research after that on Google and I realized that I completely messed up. I had to connect my Retro Achievements account to one of their emulators if I wanted my run to submit. Then I was like, oh, maybe I could talk to one of their mods on their Discord server for help, since I had video proof of the whole entire run. So I went to their server, verified my account, and tried to ask if there was any way I could talk to a moderator about it. They said that I can message Dev Compliance at the official Retro Achievements website if I have any questions. So I did. Hey Dev Compliance, this is HdGaming. I have a problem that I was wondering if you could help me with, as it is kinda urgent for me. I have a run on Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire that I am in the middle of doing, and I have been going on with this run for the last 6 weeks. Started playing this game on December 23rd, 2024, and started to stream it on TikTok on Christmas Day. This game helped me grow as a content creator, and I tried to get an attempt for the record on your website due to other websites not having a high score leaderboard. And if they did, they weren't as strict as your rules on this website. For example, they don't do a very good job at verifying runs, and they just go off of pictures that could be fake. With this being said, I had gained a huge following, gaining over 3,000 new followers on TikTok in just a month, with over 300,000 viewers who witnessed my attempts on the game. Like I said, they've been waiting for this moment to happen, so I need this run to submit. There is a problem though. When I first joined Retro Achievements, I assumed that you go off video proof, kinda like what speedrun.com does with their runs. I did some research and saw that y'all instead use different emulators and you make us link our Retro Achievements account to that emulator. I did not do this. So I was wondering if you can verify my run and could just put me on the leaderboards by video proof. I know that I messed up by not linking my account and I completely apologize for not doing it in the first place. To help you out with this, I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel with every single one of my streams from TikTok on that single run I did on the Sapphire board. There are no edits that I done onto the streams, and I completely just streamed it from the beginning to now. I ain't done with the run yet, so maybe I can come back to you when the run is over. So again, please let me know if I can be submitted to the website once I'm done with my run. I'll even put the link to the YouTube below. If you need to ask me questions, I'll be glad to on Discord, TikTok, or here. Thanks. They responded an hour later and said this. Leaderboard submissions can only be verified by using an emulator with retroachievements.org support. We cannot add leaderboard submissions from plays done outside of our environments. We have had players try to submit their own scores, but that is for a community such as Twin Galaxies or speedrun.com. Which is kinda weird to me because they actually don't have high score submissions. Sorry to give the bad news, but you need your own dumped copy and you need to use an emulator provided in this link, and they gave me the link right there. Note, you also need to be using hardcore mode, which prevents loading save states and cheats. This is another reason why we cannot add leaderboard scores without a supported emulator. I was devastated. I pretty much had all that done for nothing, and everyone was so excited to see it happen. I felt so bad because I had people gifting right after I beat the record, and now it just feels like a scam I didn't mean to start. So I apologize to everyone in the Discord, telling them about everything and saying I'm sorry for letting them down. The good thing was that everyone stood up for me at the time and saying it was okay and I still deserved that one spot in the leaderboards. There was even some people who said they would riot if they didn't accept the score, and that actually kind of happened and I kind of hopped on the bandwagon. So I posted a video on TikTok about how I was going to explain the evil side of retro achievements, which I actually never got done. And to be honest, I'm glad that I never finished that video because there shouldn't be a reason for me to hate on them too much about it. I understand that it was my fault that I didn't link my account and I should have done more research before starting all of this. I will say though that it is kind of strange how they don't accept video proof. especially when I posted the whole entire run on YouTube that clearly shows that I've been doing this run. I couldn't have been using save states either because I streamed the whole entire run in real time, so if I had messed up somewhere in the run, y'all would see it. Something else to include is that over 400,000 people have somewhat clicked or viewed my stream during that single run. So if Retro Achievements was denying that I did the run the correct way, then they are pretty much telling y'all the same thing. Let's be real. Which y'all know is not true because most of y'all watched me the whole entire time. How can I secretly cheat if I have 400,000 witnesses? Just saying. After all that stuff happened, I decided to stop playing Pokemon Pinball for some time, and instead played Pokemon Emerald, which was actually the first time ever playing a mainline game. But there was still a place in my heart telling me that I should go back to Pokemon Pinball and do it the right way, so I could prove to people that I do not cheat in the game, and I was being legit about everything. A couple days later, I announced to everyone that I was officially heading back to Pokemon Pinball to complete what I was supposed to do. I linked my account to a supported emulator that I got from their website called RetroArch. Another thanks to Kelv as well because he was able to help me set it up all correctly. I played a little game and ended it to see if I could get back on the leaderboard, and it worked. I started streaming the game again and it felt really good to be back in it. I was also able to one time get 9 billion points in 4 hours, proving that I was getting better and better the more I played. I didn't keep any recordings to post on YouTube this time of the run, but I do have some screenshots from me beating the record for a second time, which I posted on TikTok after I got it. Here is a screen recording of a video I posted on TikTok with a screenshot of me with my hand on my face, looking at the score 133 billion. This is such a big deal for me because now I proved twice to everyone that I beat the record and I can do it twice. But after this, something crazy happened. But before I go on, I promised this person that I was going to keep their identity off the video since he probably doesn't want to be on here. So because of that, we are just going to call him Snowpin. I was looking in the comments of that video and I saw Snowpin say, "Gotta play on a supported emulator for Retro Achievements to submit it. Playing on a browser emulator isn't supported." I told Snowpin that we figured that out already. The second run that I did was on one of the supported emulators, and I gave him a warning to look out for the leaderboard. Then he continues to say, "It doesn't show that you've loaded the game on your profile at all." I told him that it does. It literally says my recent game was Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire on my profile. He was looking at the account again and figured out he was looking at the wrong account and said, "Never mind, I see you." So you can clearly see that this guy is stalking my account on Retro Achievements for some reason. But why? Well, I clicked on his profile and in his bio, he has a link to the homepage of Retro Achievements. Not a lot of people do that, at least that I know of. So this could mean two things. One, he is a big fan of Retro Achievements and he uses it all the time. Or two, he is secretly a moderator for Retro Achievements and he was watching me this whole entire time. So now you're probably wondering, why do I think that he was watching my streams the whole entire time? Well, because when I was playing the first run, I think I might have seen his account watching me in my chat. I told my viewers about him in the Discord and they were pretty sussed out about it too. Now, this might sound a little confusing, but we are going to skip from March 6th to present day. I had people in my Discord who wanted me to add this situation between me and Snowpin in this video, and that is why I'm talking about him now. But I wanted to get more information about what he really does because I want to clear some stuff up about him. So I went to his profile again and messaged him saying, "Hey Snowpin, this is HdGaming. You probably remember me from my last video of getting the record on Retro Achievements. I'm wondering if you can message me back and I would like to talk. Thanks." And he actually messaged me back saying, "Hey, what's up?" I said I wanted to ask you some questions. I was curious when you posted your comments on my video and I saw that you have the Retro Achievements link in your bio. I wanted to see if you were actually a moderator or if you were just a fan of Retro Achievements. I wanted to ask because there are not a lot of people who put their link in their bio like that, especially the homepage of a link, so that just made me wonder if you were associated with them in any way. I also told him that I hope he understands that this was months ago, so I'm just trying to clear some stuff up with my viewers. And that's when I confirmed that he was an admin. Wow. Okay, so that is now confirmed. And I said, okay, cool. I'm guessing you saw my first run on getting 133 billion points. How long were you watching that run? The beginning of it? Somewhere in the middle? Or when I just got the record? He said he doesn't fully remember, and he thinks he popped up on my live a few times randomly, but he doesn't watch TikTok lives that much. Then he thought he saw a video of a record pop up later on. I guess he was talking about my video. I said alright, and I have one more question for him. Was he part of the dev compliance account? He said not in a couple of years. He was just a site admin and developer. I said okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you so much for your feedback. And there we go. We confirmed that he was an admin and he watched my streams, but it was off and on. I think he just went in my video and commented just to make sure we knew about how to submit our scores. So for the people that were asking me and were curious about him, that is all we got. But yeah, back to March 6th, I kept increasing my score after that, and I finally got to 207 billion points on the Sapphire board, and I decided that we should end the run here. If you are wondering why we ended the run, it's because I ordered a new PC, and I wanted to switch over to that one. The only problem is that I didn't want to corrupt anything in the game if I tried to switch from one computer to the next, so I ended the run there. And yes, when we ended the run, we did get the #1 spot on the Sapphire board in retro achievements. So it did all work out the way it was supposed to. But this ain't even close to the end of the pinball journey, because I then announced we were going to the Ruby board next. Again, I didn't have that much footage of the streams because I never saved the ones on the Ruby board. Because you go onto TikTok Live Studios and try to download the streams, it only shows the ones that from the past 30 days. So it's kinda lost media. But here is a screenshot of the leaderboard where I got 208 billion points and the #1 spot on the Ruby board. I even got 999 Pokemon caught on this board as well. And even better, I got a new camera, so now I actually stand out more with my name. The quality of my streams were awful back then, so this was a big upgrade. So with all this happening, we are now finally done with the record attempts for retro achievements. At least for now, until someone passes us in points. This timestamp might be a little confusing, but it is now May 20th, which is still the time I was working on trying to get the highest score on the Ruby board. Me and some viewers have been talking about creating a way to make Pokemon Pinball more fun. So, I created a server called the National Pinball League, or NPL for short. In this server, we will create pinball tournaments that anybody can qualify in, no matter how good you are or how bad you are. How the tournament works is depending on the goal of the game. So far, we started with a Pokemon Pinball tournament, which means the goal of the game would have to be in Pokemon Pinball. For the first tournament we have done, we made it where you have a total of 90 minutes to score as many points as possible. It doesn't matter how you get those points, as long as you can beat your opponent by the end of a round. Simple, right? Because it's a tournament, we will go off of a bracket. Whoever volunteers will be put randomly against someone, so nobody will know who goes up against who until the tourney starts. It's almost like a March Madness bracket, but with pinball players. If you beat your opponent, you will move on to the next round, and it continues until you are the last one standing. The pros about this tournament is that you don't have to pay to go in. It is open for everyone. The only cons we have is that there are no prizes at the moment, but we are planning to add some in the future if this becomes a big thing. Which I hope it does because it's super fun. We only needed a minimum of 8 people, which we did get. The contestants were Kelv, Edwin, G Medley, Wesh, Potato Prophecy, JR17, Vegeta, and Asher. I couldn't play in the tournament because I was going to stream the games they were playing, and I thought it probably wouldn't be that fun if I joined in. We did a promotion round first with Kelv versus Edwin, and Kelv won. Edwin didn't get eliminated since this was more of a practice round, but in the tournament, Kelv went up against Potato Prophecy and won, so he moved up to the semifinals. The only problem we had about this tournament was the schedules, because everyone was going to be busy and half of the people forfeit the whole thing, so we had to cancel the tournament after the first round. Clearly at the time, I sucked at setting up the tournament, so it was pretty much a scrap. You are probably wondering why this even matters. Why would I tell y'all about a tournament that didn't even get played out all the way? Trust me, it will all make sense here in a second. After the tournament, we really didn't do much but more pinball to see how high we can go in points. But it was starting to get a little repetitive, so I tried doing speedruns for the fastest time on speedrun.com. I then learned that I am not a speedrunner because I never got close to the times to beat. The people who do speedruns on Pokemon Pinball are actually super skilled, and I know this because on speedrun.com, they allow video proof that you can actually watch, and it is pretty cool to look at. I also got to mention that there has been new Pokemon Pinball players, like Harmless and Green Gorilla. But there was one specific person that is very important, named Vice Versa. Before I met Vice, he was friends with G Medley and Bandy, and people knew Vice when he joins their streams. I didn't know this information when I first met him. I joined one of his streams for the first time, and he seemed like a pretty solid dude. He actually recognized me when I first joined in, and he was happy to see me. He talked about how he played this game when he was younger. Since this game came out in 2003, it was known as a childhood game for some people like Vice. He did talk about how he wanted to set up another tournament like I did before. I told him that would be cool, but I also included how I tried making the first tournament, but it didn't really go so well. He said it was fine and he was able to set it up and host it. He told me that this tournament would be just for fun, and it would be nice to meet with other streamers in it. I mean, hey, if he wants to set it up, he can go for it. This also means that I'm able to play in it too, since I ain't hosting it. At least now I can experience how it feels to be one of the players in the tournament, giving me more ideas on what I could add to the National Pinball League. He did add some new rules to the tournament that were different compared to how I did it last time. Instead of trying to get the most points in 90 minutes, now you have to catch Rayquaza before your opponent does. It is best out of 3, where you play on both boards. If it's a tie, for example, Vice beats me on the Ruby board and I beat him on the Sapphire board, the chat gets to pick what the last board will be. The winner moves on to the next round until they are the last person standing. And to be fair, I like this a lot more than just getting the most points in 90 minutes. But I knew this was going to be harder for me since this is more of a speed run than anything. Like I said earlier, I am not a speedrunner, but of course, I was going to try my best. After some time, he was able to get G Medley, Gord, Harmless, and Bandy to join in at the moment. He even said himself, so he was going to play in the tournament as well even though he's the host. I invited Kelv and recommended Vice to invite Wesh into the tourney as well. With that, we reached the minimum number of players in the bracket to start the tournament. He also asked me if he had any links to my Discord, and I invited him to the HdGaming community server and the National Pinball League. He posted the bracket with the order that he placed us in the National Pinball League server. He didn't randomize the bracket on who is going against who, because he wanted to get the right schedules for people who were strict with time. And of course, you know my boy Kelv helped out with the tournament too. Again, shout out to Kelv for being a W mod. He was pretty much our promoter and he created the promo videos for the tournament. With all that set up, we can now move on to how the tournament went. The first matchup started with G Medley and Harmless battling each other. G Medley won the first round due to Harmless losing all of his lives, and the second battle he had the same result. It was expected though, because Harmless was a new player and didn't know much about the game, but when I mean new, I mean new. Like, he didn't even know there was a Groudon minigame until he went up against him in the tournament. And like I said earlier in the video, G Medley has tried some sort of speedrunning before. He had experience, of course. So with that, G Medley moves on to the next round. Next up was me versus Kelv. I was able to beat him in both of the boards, but he still did pretty good. He didn't lose all his lives the whole game, so he hanged in there the whole entire time. After that was Bandy and Wesh, which was a fantastic matchup actually. Bandy won the first round, but it was because Wesh somehow soft-locked on top of a rock in the Kelpion game, which gave him the automatic loss because he couldn't get down. On the Sapphire board, Wesh survived long enough for Bandy to lose all of her lives, and in the final round between them, Bandy survived longer than Wesh. But it was a really close game. Next was Vice and Gord, where Vice took Gord out in the first and second round. I don't have much detail of this match because I was busy and wasn't able to watch it, but Vice moved on to the semifinals. The next game was Vice vs G-Medley, which turns out to be a really good matchup between them. Vice won the first match, but none of them lost all of their lives, and the second match was the same way. Either way, they both played a really good game, and there was a time where they were neck and neck the whole entire time. Then, it was me versus Bandy. Finally, I actually have clips from the tournament. I practiced for an hour before the match started, just to see if I could get the time I needed to beat Bandy. We talk in a Discord call, and Vice joins in and gets everything ready, since he is the host of the tournament. We started the game on the Ruby board and I'd had a pretty good start. I caught up to speed and was able to beat Bandy in round 1. We played again on the Sapphire board and it came out with the same results. It was a fun matchup and she played well throughout the tournament. Finally, we are about to go to the finals and it was me versus Vice, but I had to do something before I played. I forfeit the match. The new people that watch this video are probably shocked on why I forfeited the match. And to be honest, I feel like I shouldn't say why at the moment. Maybe one day when I have confirmation that I can tell y'all, or if I have a very good reason to tell y'all, I might do another video explaining the reason, because it would make so much more sense if I told you. I do apologize to all the people that were wanting me to win the tournament, and I hope that you could forgive me someday. I want to let everyone know that the tournament was only meant to be fun, and it wasn't meant to make anyone look bad, or to make anyone the GOAT of Pokemon Pinball. I stuck with that the whole entire time, and someone else did not. And before you go hate on that person, I want you to know that they did apologize to everyone, and they hope that you could forgive them. You can take that any way you like, but that was their genuine response. Me and him both agreed to not collaborate with each other, and they will not be a part of the National Pinball League server anymore. I will leave it off with a lesson that everyone should keep in mind. Be careful on what you say on the internet, because not everyone is going to have the same opinion as you. In the end, Vice won the tournament and is now our first official winner in the National Pinball League, so congrats to him. After that, we are now at the current day. We haven't been doing much recently, but I still stream Pokemon Pinball on TikTok, so if anyone wants to join in and watch, I'll put the link in my bio and you can join in whenever. I one day want to go back to multi-streaming, but I still stream on TikTok for now. Once I can get multi-streaming back up and running, I will be glad to stream on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. I also want to give some shoutouts to our supporters, starting with our TikTok mods. We got Kelv, Marie, Eternal, Derek, Dylan, HD's AI Generator, Zombie Chick, Reese, Rock Lee, Ben, Pocket Ace, Wild West, Gary, Ash, Arif, Prince of Northo, and Zed. And a shout out to all my loyal supporters on the fan club: Becky, Spoo and Dewey, Eternal, Derek, Dylan, Reese, Iros Girl, Zombie Chick, Marie, Saruski, The Biggest, Jockum, Rookie Cookie, Jacob, Just Do Something, Cade, Jay, Leah, Galleon Stallion, Fernando, Ali, Ivan, Mugen, M10, Tiny, Lost to Toast, Harut, Gary, Definitely Kogler, Meep, G Medley, Zach, JJ. Oh my goodness, I can't breathe. There's so many of y'all. Kista, Jeffy, Souls, and Brandon Lee. Of course, I am also thankful for everyone else who gifted or joined the fan club at one point, so I appreciate it for real. Also, shout out to all the competitors that were in the tournament, and I hope y'all had fun. I thought it was awesome to meet so many different streamers and viewers that joined the tournaments, so I am very thankful for setting this up for y'all. I also would like to let everyone know that I would love for people to join our Discords in my bio, the HdGaming community server, and the National Pinball League. I am planning to host more tournaments in the future if we could get volunteers. I'm planning to even make ranked tournaments, so if you are a rookie, that you would go against other rookies. If you are an experienced player, then you would go against other experienced players, and so on. I really want to make a prize pot one day, and I will try to figure something out for it soon. Another thanks to G-Medley for letting me use clips of his video, Mysterious Mechanics of Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire, and this one. It is a very well edited video, definitely better than mine, and I suggest checking it out. He even has another video called The Unexplored Layers of Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire that I also recommend watching. And last but not least, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you like these type of videos, and I also suggest checking out my TikTok at HdGaming on TikTok, because that is where I stream and I'm more active at. Of course, the rest of my links are in my bio. I hope y'all enjoyed this video as much as I did. I know I probably need some better editing skills, I'm aware of that, but I will work on it another time. If you have any questions about the video, do not hesitate. I do read comments and DMs, so I would absolutely love to answer them for y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope I can see you next time.